Let's start the show with a look at the Indian markets. The Nifty 50 closed out the day on a high yesterday and it seems to be carrying some of that momentum today. Let's bring up the chart for you now. Remember, it has been a dull year for those who entered the markets at the beginning of the year. The returns for those investors may not be much, but value hunters who bought during the March lows must be delighted. The Nifty 50 has risen from 17,000 points to 18,700 points. That's a rally of more than 10% in less than 3 months. Broader markets have also performed exceedingly well. Both the small cap and mid cap indices hit their record highs yesterday and the trend seems to be promising for them. Indian markets are range bound at the moment, but do watch out for the central bank's policy outcome expected later today. Markets have soared almost 6% since the last rate hike pause, and the trend could continue if the RBI decides to wait and watch how its policy is controlling inflation. Overall, a great week for India bulls. And to discuss this further, Andrew Holland, CEO of Avendus Capital Public Markets Alternate Strategies, is joining us from Mumbai. So thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Good morning and thank you for the opportunity.
Sir, Indian markets have hit their highest levels in 2023. How long before it hits its lifetime highs?
Well, if we get a good push from global markets and, over the next, say, few weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit that target of new highs. That said, obviously we've got the RBI policy which you mentioned today. Let's see if we keep on hold, which I think we should be. And I think if there's any kind of hint of a potential rate reduction later in the year, then that would obviously probably push the markets a lot higher. But I'm not expecting that. But that's what the market. If you wanted the next push, that would from our own markets, then the RBI would be the one who could provide that today, if in his statement. So I think with global markets pushing ahead, that will give us that kind of momentum to kind of grind our way towards a new high over the next few weeks.
All right, so that being said, do you reckon Indian markets will continue their stellar run in 2023?
No, I think it's still going to be quite volatile. We got obviously the Federal Reserve, their policy next week as well. We've seen, a couple of the developed markets like Australia and Canada increase rates. So I think there's going to be a little bit more volatility. And there are some concerns that the higher rates in the US will have an impact on the commercial real estate market there. So I think there's some headwinds which the market's just ignoring for the time being, which could kind of have our markets kind of go sideways, if they were to kind of move higher from here. So I think it's still going to be volatile. I think the second half would be better than the first half this year. Our market, as you said, it's near new highs, but for the year to date, we're only up about 3.5%. So it's not a big deal so far, but I think the second half could be a lot more constructive.
Right. So that being said, what sectors could push the Indian indices up from the current levels?
Well, it's going to be banking, right? I mean, that's one of the key kind of weightages in the index for the Nifty in particular. And our view is that the RBI will have the ability, if they want to reduce interest rates by 25 basis points in October of this year. That, I believe, would be the catalyst for the banking sector to move higher, and obviously that would propel our markets a lot higher as well. And the backdrop of that would be a broader kind of spread, as obviously the impact of lower interest rates, or the expectation of lower interest rates, will have corporates doing two things. One, more capex, because obviously capacity utilization needs to be increased over time, and two, I think it will give that momentum to earnings in the second half of the year as well, as commodity prices fall globally, as developed world kind of moves more towards recession. So I think all of these factors will play through to the second half of the year. But that said, I think you're going to make more money in some of the themes below the Nifty in the kind of next 6 months or so.
Right. Mr. Andrew Holland, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast with your insights on this.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.